Gokuldasa Prabhu from Australia as well, who met Srila Gurudeva in 1991 and he actually took Harinam from Govinda Maharaj and also took, is the Diksha disciple of Srila Gurudeva. So thank you very much. I'll pass it over to you.
I'm offering my heartfelt pranam again and again at the lotus feet of my beloved Guru Parapadma, Om Vishnupad Sri Srila Gaura Govinda Swami Maharaj, who has given me everything. And on the most auspicious occasion of his 100th anniversary day, similarly, my unlimited pranams at the lotus feet of my beloved Guru Parapadma, Om Vishnupad Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis have asked me to speak. I'm particularly unqualified to do so, but I'll do as I'm told. I wonder at what the value of my words, given my sensuous addictions and lack of devotional sentiment. There are many very qualified Vaishnavas who are very dear to Srila Gurudev, who could be speaking in this forum, and by whose mercy I could remain in Srila Gurudev's proximity for some time. I am remembering them, knowing that somewhere they are remembering him and glorifying him to the lucky devotees who are in their association. Particularly, I'm thinking of Prankashore Prabhu and Chapakalala Didi, Nirgun Prabhu and Nilachala Didi, Nanda Gopal, Brajendra Nandan Prabhu, Titapad Prabhu, Radhakanta Prabhu, and so many. Also their wives who are like their real Shaktis. I'm thinking of Brajavilasini Didi, Vajantimala Didi. I was looking at Braj Kishore before. I was thinking my dear Paramananda Prabhu and Banawari Lal Prabhu. It's so lucky to remember our Guru family. It's so enriching. On his own Vyasa Puja, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj said, let this Vyasa Puja be celebrated as the puja of all Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas. It is not only the puja of Vyasadeva or Krishna or Gaurasundar Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or only the puja of Gurudev. The real Vyasa Puja is the puja of pure Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas. This is known as Bhaktivinoda Bhatta. I heard this from Srila Govinda Maharaj on the first appearance day of his that I attended. And after 3 days of glorification, he was begging to us, please help me, please help me, please help me. You are all Vaishnavas, you are very merciful, and I'm in such a dangerous position. Why was he speaking like this? As I seek to glorify Srila Gurudev, really, I just want to glorify myself. That is the dangerous position our acharyas put themselves in. As the prominent representative of God, Krishna, in this world, they become the focus of the envy of the conditioned living entities. That is the primary reason for our miserable existence in this world. We want to be worshipped. For a conditioned soul to accept worship and glorification is so corrosive. I want to give a brief synopsis of my experience with Srila Gurudev. Please excuse my inevitable self-glorification. Our perceptions of Srila Gurudev, our relationships with him are unique. So this is just one conditioned soul's flawed memories. The essence of my relationship is so much framed around Srila Gurudev giving me shelter directly after the pralaya of Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj's disappearance, and the amazing continuity of the teachings. I want to try and highlight the pinnacle of those teachings, which represent the essence and uniqueness of Srila Gurudev, as I try to fly quickly through 18 years in the next 14 minutes. Maybe cut me a bit of slack. I first had his darshan in 1991, as Didi just said, at the ISKCON Sri Krishna Balaram Temple in Vrindavan on Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. He spoke of the good ISKCON was doing, especially through book distribution, but warned that if we didn't understand what was in the books, it would be like Kama Mishra Bhakti. I remember being stunned by the power of his invocation mantras, and had only heard such powerful sound vibration from Srila Gurudeva Maharaj, who had taken Harinam from 6 months prior. Everybody else in the temple seemed oblivious. So when Srila Gurudeva left, I followed him and took some water from a puddle he had stepped in. It was probably one of the most fortunate things I've ever done. Maybe 18 months before Srila Gurudeva Maharaj's disappearance in 1994, we met Kishore Prabhu and Sripad Padmanabh Maharaj in Malaysia, and were immediately attracted to their association. They were working on Srila Gurudeva's books and attending Parikram. So they were our link. And when Guru Maharaj left, my primary thought was to approach Srila Gurudeva for shelter under their guidance. A week later, a few weeks later, after Guru Maharaj's disappearance, we went to Srila Gurudeva just prior to the 1996 Navadvip Parikram, and he advised us to return to Bhubaneswar and defend our Gurudev's Siddhanta, and that some of us should accept disciples. I did briefly return to Bhubaneswar, but I disobeyed him, as is my habit, and travelled to Vrindavan again to meet with him. He was delayed preaching in Bengal, but on our last day in Vrindavan, we heard that he was doing a program in Delhi. With significant obstacles, we managed to find the program, and I had heard that he was going to travel to Europe and America, and I asked him after the program if I could join him there. He said, "I will see you there." I had only married 5 months prior, so I left my young 18-month-old wife, 18 years old, 18 months, with my father-in-law, Ananta Krishna, who had hosted Srila Gurudev, Srila Gurudeva Maharaj in Bali for the previous 8 years. He asked me where I was going. I showed him some of Srila Gurudev's books, and he immediately insisted that I invite Srila Gurudev to Bali. I traveled to the west coast of America and met Srila Gurudev in LA. On the second day during the morning walk, Srila Gurudev explained the necessity of accepting Diksha mantras if we are to progress from a Kanishta to a Madhyamadikari. I went to his room immediately after the walk and requested shelter. He said, Your Guru Maharaj told me he was thinking of leaving early, and that if he did, some of his disciples would come to me. He asked me to please help them. So he was bound to accept me, despite my recalcitrant nature. He put me in his pocket, as he used to. After the beautiful glorifications of Srila Prabhupada that was recorded on ITV, and one morning storming the LA ISKCON temple during morning class, we left LA and travelled to Fresno and Badger. After 6 years of a heavy diet of Harikatha in Bhubaneswar, and having not heard for some months, life was returning to my body. As we sat in Nigun Prabhu's lounge room, listening to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilita chapter 4, Sedwari Achandale Kirtan Sanchari, Nam Prem Malaganti, Harala Sangsari, E Mata Bhakta Bhav Kari Angikar, Apani Chari Bhakti Kari Prachar. Srila Gurudev was explaining the confidential reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. As he quoted the verses, from habit, I would repeat them, as my Guru Maharaj used to sing them, and in this way, they're kind of etched in my heart. After class, a Prabhupada disciple asked me, Prabhu, how many times have you read Chaitanya Charitamrita? How do you know all those verses? I said, I've never read it. I've only heard. I say this to highlight how perfectly aligned the teachings were. This is how I recognize my Shiksha Guru. My Guru Maharaj said, you see Guru through your ears. Guru Maharaj said, do not go where there is fear and force. Go where there is love. And in Srila Gurudev's association, we found the most unfathomable sweetness and causeless unconditional love. From Badger, we went to San Francisco. Gurudev was leading kirtan at that time, and you may have seen videos in the house of Radhakansa Prabhu. Absolutely mind-blowing and heart-melting. After putting Rati Kala Didi and Radhakansa Prabhu in his pocket and their Bhubaneswar project, we drove to Oregon. All these places, LA, Badger, San Francisco, my Guru Maharaj had traveled. And while Gurudev was taking the dust from Srila Prabhupada, he was also picking up the positive energy left by my Guru Maharaj. In Oregon, he said, Prabhupada has given you everything, but it is in a box, inside a box, and the keys are with Sadhu. You must hear from the lips of a pure devotee. I had to return to Bali from Oregon, and as I was leaving, I extended the invite from my father-in-law to visit Bali. Gurudev said, you are living in Malaysia, you are from Australia, and I have a friend in Singapore. I want to go to all of these places, 2 weeks in each place. Can you arrange everything? And so it began. We went to Braj Mandal that year in 1996. One of the first things I requested from Gurudev was permission to bring a child into this world. And on the second week of Parikram, we found out that my wife was pregnant. Srila Gurudev took us to all the Lila Stalis that I'd heard about from the lips of my Guru Pada Padma in the association of his most intimate associates spiritually, Srila Tribhuvan Maharaj. In Vaishana at Modi Bhawan, Srila Tribhuvan Maharaj was sitting on a bed next to Srila Gurudev in the morning class. And he began to speak on the glories of oneness. He was baiting and teasing Gurudev, like Lil Suk was just saying. He was edging as close to sounding like a Mayavad as you could possibly do. He was holding a wireless microphone, and every few minutes Gurudev would reach for the mic, but Srila Tribhuvan Maharaj would pull away, extolling the virtues of oneness. In the end, he concluded that the ultimate oneness is in the separation of the lover and the beloved. Na saramanas, na hama ramani. He was satisfied, and smiling slightly, he handed Srila Gurudev the mic. And Gurudev took the mic and spoke a very famous lecture on the embankment of union in order to defeat the conclusions of Srila Tribhuvan Maharaj. So you see how Gurudev, like Lasuk was saying, so Tribhuvan Maharaj would drive Gurudev to a high point, and then Gurudev would just keep going. Gurudev said, some say separation is the highest, but where are we? We're in Vrindavan, in Radhakund. This is the place of separation. This is the highest place. The place of union, yes. That day we went to Prem Sarovar, and I was remembering many lectures from Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj on Brahma Gita, the song of the bumblebee. Everything is reconciled in this Leela. As Radhika sits on Krishna's lap in his loving embrace, Manovangal drives away, Madhusudan. Madhusudan Jahi, Madhusudan Jahi. Thinking Krishna has left her, she feels separation in the embrace. Radhika's moods rise to the highest level, Sneha, Man, Pranaya. This Pranaya, Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj said, is Radha Krishna Pranaya Vrikati. When the lover and the beloved become one in mind. Bhav, Mahabhav, Mohan, Maranatya, Mahabhav. Seeing this manifestation of love, the greed comes in Krishna to taste it. E chintarahi Krishna parama kotiki. Hridaya bharya prema loba daki. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna was curious to taste that love. His eager desire for that love increasingly blazed in his heart. This is Radha Krishna Pranay Vritti. The mind of the lover and the beloved have become one. Nasa Ramana Nahama Ramani. Krishna thinks, Sri Radha Krishna Pranay Mahima Kidrusham Yaneva. How can I taste that sweetness, the happiness she alone feels in that love? Where does that love exist and how can I have it? It is in the core of the heart of Radhika, Radha Bhava Duti Civilitam. Guru Maharaj said Krishna thought, I will have to steal it. Gaura Graganya. But our Gurudev, he said, Krishna is not so intelligent. He couldn't steal from Radhika. So Krishna, with his heart boiling with desire, ducky, entered the blazing molten golden heart of Radhika's heart, up the Kanchana Gaurangi. Radhaya Bhavatas Chita Jatuni, Sweda Valapya Kramyad. Your heart and Srimati Radharani's heart are just like shellac, and are now melted in your spiritual perspiration. Therefore, one can no longer distinguish between you and Srimati Radharani. You have now mixed your newly invoked affection, which is like vermilion, with your melted hearts for the benefit of the whole world. And Krishna emerged from Radhika's heart. Nam Krishna Swarupam. Gaura is Krishna Swarup. Anta Krishna Bahir Gaur. He has accepted the bhav and the duty of Srimati Radhika, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu Kahe Sadhya Vastura Hari Hoy. That is Bhakti Naipunya, the last limit of bhakti. Separation in union. So union is higher. And so it went on. We went to Malaysia that year, Bali, Singapore, Australia. Chandramukhi Didi has spoken. The beautiful classes that was spoken in the house of her father, the pinnacle of devotion lectures. By the next parikram, we had a 6-month-old boy who met Srila Gurudeva in Radhakund. Gurudev came from one side, his hand on Govardhan's shoulder. I saw Govi last night. I was so happy to see him. And we arrived by taxi from the other. He received his first grams from Srila Gurudev on that last day of Kartik, the sweet rice from his own plate. Another child came in 1998. And before I left Parikram in 1998 for her birth, Srila Gurudev said, okay, so 2 is enough? I said, yes, Gurudev. He said, okay, stop. So in 2001, Srila Gurudev traveled to Jagannath Puri for Purushottam Ma's Parikram. This was the first time I'd returned to Sri Kshetra Dham since my Guru Maharaj's disappearance. In Sri Gambhir, Srila Gurudev explained that this was Sarak Kshetra. Mahaprabhu had appeared like a rising moon from the womb of Mother Sachi, Sachi Garbha Sindhu Harindu, in Navadvip Dham to fulfill these 3 desires. In this place, Mahaprabhu studied under the tutelage of Lalita and Vishaka, Roy Ramananda and Srup Damodar. Every day he would go to Tota Gopinath and study the moods of Radhika of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup Sri Bhagavato. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Bhakti Swarup. It is Radhika's Swarup. So he's hearing Radhika from the lips of Radhika herself, Gadadhar Pandit. In this way, slowly he tasted everything. Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav, Madanakya Mahabhav. And then like a volcano, all these moods were expressed. Chetodapanam Ajnam. Aslishyavapanam Ratam Panashtamam. Adashanam Mama Hatam Kurotava. In 2008, or maybe 2009, I can't remember, on one of the last Braj Mandal Parikrams, we were at Gopinath Bhavan for maybe a week. Every night, Srila Gurudev was asking the sannyasis and others to speak. Why has Mahaprabhu come? Why has Mahaprabhu come? I am now seeing this like the last exam. What have we learnt? Many tried to speak, but it seems Srila Gurudev was not completely happy. And after 1 week, he himself spoke. And I want to find that lecture. There were 2 lectures like this for me. One on Jaiva Dhamma in Bali early on, and this one. They felt so high, there was no oxygen left. It was like watching a satellite go overhead. I remember standing by the bank of the Jamuna afterward, my entire existence soaked in Srila Gurudev's Harikatha, feeling so fortunate and unworthy. Nobody speaks like that. There are many beautiful Vaishnavas in the world, but who has that conception? You will see Srila Gurudev with your ears, according to what you have understood. He has given us everything, but it is locked inside a box, inside a box, inside another box. And the keys are with sadhus. I had a small realization while preparing to speak today. I've often wondered why I don't feel such intense separation from Srila Gurudev as I do for Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj. Was it the way they left this world? Was it our relationship? Was it that our relationship was different? Because before I was a brahmachari with Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj, but with Srila Gurudev, I was married with children. But I wasn't satisfied with these considerations. Now I see that there are 2 embankments. The embankment of separation and the embankment of union. Bhakti flows between these, and union is nourished by separation. Srila Gurudev is always with us. He is closer than the air we breathe. So they are both nourishing me. Srila Gurudev in union and Srila Gokuldasa Maharaj in separation. Now I'm separated from the Vaishnavas in this most isolated city in the world. I don't know if the devotees think that we're in the same part of Australia, but I'm about 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers from the others. So I'm praying to Srila Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis that I may please have your association again very soon. Please help me, I'm in such a dangerous position.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that heartfelt offering. That was so beautiful and really touched, I think, so many people's hearts.